In 9 days, the law helping fund the government's pandemic response will expire. The Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, or Bayanihan 2, allocates 165.5 billion pesos to support the health sector, purchase vaccines, and aid bankrupt businesses. 9 months since the law was enacted, billions of pesos in funds are still unobligated, or specific programs or projects have yet to be identified. Let's find out how the government plans to spend public money with House Economic Affairs Chairperson Sharon Garin. Kong Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. Why is this large amount of money out of the 165.5 billion pesos still unobligated or unutilized?
Yes. The total funding for Bayanihan is 165.5, if I'm not mistaken, Rico. No? So there are varying reports. There's 18.5 na unspent. There's also 73 billion unobligated. Those are different stages kasi, right, Rico. There's from the DBM, nandun yung pera, sasabihin nila, okay, we passed this to the agency, and that means it has been released. Now, if you say obligated, the agency already has the programs for those funds, no? And if it's spent, it's because it's been implemented already. So, iba-iba nga yung stages. And this morning, for example, we had a meeting with the DOTR and the transport sector is supposed to have 5.5 billion for anong tawag doon, yung fuel nila or service contracting. Right. I think only 1.5 around that number has been spent already. But so there's a remaining like 4 billion. 4 billion that has been unspent for the transportation sector. Yun yung supposedly to help our drivers, no?
So why hasn't it been spent, Kong Sharon? Why hasn't it been spent? When Bayanihan 2 was passed, it was understood that the government would act swiftly to address the urgent needs of all sectors affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. Is this a testament that the government is inefficient and doesn't really know what to do with the money?
Well, money not spent or help that's delayed is no help. That's the nature of the pandemic right now. So that is even why I filed back in February pa lang for an House resolution investigating what's happening with the money. I think there are problems with implementation because there's scrambling. There's the magnitude of programs that they have to implement, and the money that's being coursed through all these agencies is quite huge, no? Pero that's no excuse, Rico. The people need the help now and as fast as possible, as efficient as possible. Kasi kung hindi mo tutulungan ngayon yan, it's harder to help them much later.
So
the problem becomes bigger.
There's still 9 days left, Kong Sharon, till the expiry. What happens now? There are some colleagues of yours in the lower house who are suggesting a special session to be able to extend it for another 6 months. Yes. Do you think that this will materialize? And if it expires, it goes back to the National Treasury?
Correct. One news I've heard is that the Senate plans to take it up as soon as possible when they return. But that's after June 30 already, which is the date of expiry ng Bayanihan 2. We can also do a special session should the President authorizes it, because there has a special session has to be called. So there's no talk yet among my colleagues kung may napatawag na or hindi pa, but I think that would be the wisest thing to do. In fact, Rico, when we finished Bayanihan 3, we included their extension of Bayanihan 2 because we were aware already that hindi lang kasi funding yan, Rico. It's just not just the funding. It's all those like the exemption for the procurement, para mabilis yung procurement, all the other benefits that we get from Bayanihan 2 and 1 will expire also.
But it seems like, Kong Sharon,
walang budget.
All this unutilized funding is only being talked about now, 9 days before its expiry. If this wasn't really talked about Would this money be diverted into other agencies that have nothing to do with the pandemic response?
No, it will revert back to the Treasury.
Okay.
Babalik siya dyan. That's just under the, I think under the Constitution. That's how it is. Kung hindi mo magastos, babalik yan. And then a new appropriations bill can utilize that later, no? Pero kung hindi magamit, hindi na talaga magamit. Unless, I don't know if we can rectify that by extending it after it expires. I haven't encountered that yet, but why not? No, people need this, and we need to extend it. If we can extend it before June 30, then the best thing that could happen. But if not, then we can legislate and have it extended up to next year.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what happens over the next 9 days. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word, Congresswoman Sharon Garin.